beats.
Yo, what's up, YouTube? This is your boy Junior, aka Smoking Guns, out here in Tucson, Arizona, representing the Ultimate Fight Club, giving you the latest content in boxing and MMA news that is out. So today we're going to be going over the derailed collision course of Mikey Garcia and Lomachenko. And whatever happened to this fight? This fight was supposed to be a fight that was in the making. Seemed like this should have been an easy fight to make, and it just seemed like it was a bunch of back and forth going on with nothing coming into fruition. And pretty much the reason I'm coming out with this video is Mikey Garcia came out in a recent interview on Behind the Gloves, and he stated that he felt like the Lomachenko fight was impossible to make. And that is the reason why he ended up taking the Errol Spence fight. He felt like it was impossible for it to make. And he was stating that Lomachenko's people never got in contact with them to try to make the fight. And he felt like they really didn't want to make that fight. So pretty much, I do not feel like this fight is impossible to make. It seems like this fight is very possible to make. It just seems like there's been too much back and forth going on between Mikey Garcia and Lomachenko, where one person's fighting and then the other person's trying to stay active. So they're fighting, and it's just a lot of back and forth banter on both of their behalves. And dude, this fight has been in the making since 2016, 2017, when Mikey Garcia first came back on the scene after a 2-year layoff. He had some contract disputes with Top Rank, and after he was able to settle those contract disputes, he came back in 2016, where he ended up fighting Elio Rojas. And then in January of 2017, he fought Dejan Zlatikin. And after that fight, he was in an interview, and he stated that the one fight that he would love to have is with Lomachenko. And the only way that that would happen is if Lomachenko came up to the 135-pound division. And shortly after that, Lomachenko, he was in an interview right before his Jason Sosa fight. And Lomachenko pretty much said, if Mikey Garcia wants attention, I will show him that attention in the ring. And with those words, it seemed like, dude, this fight was destined to happen, that they would be able to make this fight. But at the same time, like I said, Lomachenko would have to go up to the 135-pound division. And then shortly after that, Mikey Garcia, he ended up having a fight with Adrian Broner maybe a few months later. And after that fight, Lomachenko, he was going to be having a fight with Miguel Mariaga. And Lomachenko, he was doing an interview, and Mikey Garcia interrupted the interview. And it's not like he ran up on Lomachenko, but he pretty much was like man to man and was like, hey, dude, gave him his props. Loma gave him his props. And they were just trying to see what was up. Hey, can we make this fight happen? This would be a great fight. The fans would love to see this fight. And when they had that face to face, it really seemed like this fight was really on the verge of being able to happen. And then Lomachenko, he ended up fighting Rigondeaux later after that. He fought Rigondeaux in December 2017. And in an interview with Fight Hype, after he beat Rigondeaux, they asked him about who would you want to fight next. And Lomachenko said Mikey Garcia is probably going to be next. So this pretty much stated that Lomachenko was going to be moving up to the 135-pound division. And that he did. Only thing is Mikey Garcia was also moving up. Mikey Garcia ended up moving up to the 140-pound division and ended up having a fight with Sergey Lipinets in March. Now, when he moved up to the 140-pound division, a lot of people thought that he was ducking Lomachenko because Lomachenko was moving up to the 135-pound division. But Mikey Garcia ended up moving back down to the 135-pound division, saying that the 140-pound division was too big for him. And that's kind of a weird statement coming from him, especially since he's going up to the 147-pound division to fight Errol Spence, but that's another video and another topic right there. But he ended up coming back down to the 135-pound division to fight Robert Easter Jr. And he fought Robert Easter Jr. to unify the WBC and the IBF World Lightweight titles. Now, before he ended up moving back down to the 135-pound division, Lomachenko actually did make his move up into the 135-pound division, and he fought Jorge Linares, which I thought was a really, really good fight. I wasn't really expecting him to fight a guy like Jorge Linares. I was actually expecting him to fight somebody like Ray Beltran, somebody who's not as skilled as Jorge Linares, but would still be a really good test. bigger than him, has that punching power, and to see how he would be able to deal with that weight. And he came up to Jorge Linares, and it was a really good fight, a really big test for Lomachenko. But at the same time, he ended up injuring himself in that fight where he injured his shoulder. He had to have surgery on that injury, and he had to take some time off to be able to rehab from that injury. Now, with him taking that time off to be able to rehab from that injury, it kind of left Mikey Garcia in limbo on whether or not he was going to be able to get that fight. And Lomachenko ended up coming out with a statement stating after he rehabbed from that surgery, he wanted to come back to fight Ray Beltran to be able to unify the division. And he wanted to use that, I'm guessing, as a tune-up fight before he fought Mikey Garcia. Because coming after Mikey Garcia, after having a shoulder injury like that, you definitely want to be on your P's and Q's. You definitely want to be on 100%. So I respected that totally, because Mikey Garcia is definitely not a guy you want to come in half-assing with. And so he is actually going to be fighting Jose Pedraza in 2 weeks, December 8th, to be able to unify the WBA Super and the WBO. So in Mikey Garcia's behalf, he's thinking that this fight is not going to happen. And he's blaming it more on Lomachenko's handlers. And I don't really think it's his handlers. I think that they both really want this fight. But it's just been so much back and forth. Well, you have one of the fighters fighting and you have the other fighter fighting. And it's just almost like a conflict in dates on when these two are actually really going to be able to get it on. Because if Lomachenko did not get injured, I'm very sure that he'd be fighting Mikey Garcia instead of Jose Pedraza. But now you have Mikey Garcia moving up to the 147-pound division. And with him moving up to the 147-pound division to fight Errol Spence, he actually had to vacate the IBF and the WBC titles because he wasn't going to face his mandatory. And personally, I'd rather just see him face his mandatory and beat his mandatory while Lomachenko fights Jose Pedraza. And if Lomachenko beats Jose Pedraza, then that would have been the perfect collision course for them to be able to unify that division. But instead, Mikey Garcia, he's going for the money fight where he's going up to fight Errol Spence at 147, and he's had to vacate those belts. Now those belts are pretty much going to be vacant, and I can actually see Lomachenko getting those belts and being the undisputed champion at the 135-pound division. And then Mikey Garcia said that he was going to be coming back down to 135. So if he comes back down to 135, he's going to have to meet the man, and that man will be Lomachenko, because he'll have all the belts, he'll be undisputed. And Mikey Garcia, if he wants to be the champion at that division, he'll have a chance to be the undisputed champion at 135 facing Lomachenko. So I think that really sets it up to be a really, really badass fight. So hopefully this collision course gets back on course and we'll be able to see those two go at it in the future. All right. So I hope you guys liked the video. If you guys liked the video, make sure to hit the like button. If you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if you guys have any kind of questions, any kind of comments, make sure to put them up in the comment section and I'll be sure to get back at you. Okay. So I hope you guys liked the video. Holla at your boy.